Welcome, welcome. This is Patrick, you're trading with Prime. Hopefully I didn't blow up your eardrums. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully I'm not too loud, not too quiet. We're going to get into it here in a second. Let's let people gather into the meeting room. Okay, we're going to just go with it. Perfect. How's it going, Carl? Okay. Let's get into it. All right, let's just dive right into it. Hopefully you guys can see the screen. Can you guys see the screen okay? Do I need to blow it up? I've changed my my format here a little bit. I've edited the background. I was trying to go with something a little bit easier to see. I've heard from a few people. Didn't really take a vote on it, but hopefully you guys can see the price levels. I actually added made this font a little bit bigger. And so let me clear the screen, get my, I'm just playing around with some things here. Don't mind these. Let me get rid of the fibs. And perfect. All right, let's get into it. So I've talked about this a little bit on stream. You guys have heard me say, well, hopefully you've heard me say in some of the previous videos, probably with, you know, I want to say within the last several videos, we take long trades, short trades. Took a couple trades this week, got stopped out, had some pretty good trades. And so what I want to talk about a little bit today, I'm just going to get into it. I'm going to go through my jam, a little jam session. For those of you guys, let me do my commercial now since people are starting to get in here. For people who are new, welcome. Feel free to hit the subscribe button, bell notifications, so when we do go live, you won't miss a thing. And the goal is to get this video YouTube growing a little bit, try to get these videos out to more and more people that we can possibly help, also to get their viewpoint on where they believe the market is headed or where they see good trade setups. And so if you are gaining value out of it, hit the like button. Feel free to comment underneath the video. We go live every Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And for those of you who don't know, go to Ride the Bull or rtbtrading.com. And I posted links in the description of the video. They should be in the description. If not, I'll post them after this stream. And check out the links. So, okay, commercial's over. That's the end of it. Okay, so let's go straight through my normal charts I want to go through. And then what we'll do is we'll go through some of the charts you guys are looking at. And if we can look at them as a group, we'll put them on the watch list. We'll get the watch list going for this week. We'll go over last week's watch list for people who commented under the video, and I'll just try to get through this. Taking a look at the bird eye view of S&P 500. Here's the bird eye view. Daily chart, S&P 500. And so what I've kind of talked about before I went into my commercial there, I talked about the last several videos of any rally that we get, I'm selling into the rallies. To me, it's clear, and this is what a few hours ago or a couple hours ago, I wanted to get this out. And the more I do a little bit of investigating, the more, I mean, to me, it was kind of one of those scenarios where we believed almost, and I don't want to say this whole entire run up here where we really started getting ahead of ourselves. That was kind of the warning sign that maybe we'll see this correction coming soon. And so far, we have seen a little bit of a correction. I don't know if you, well, let's do the measurement here before I call it a correction. Okay, we're not necessarily in correction territory on the S&P 500, but we are on the Qs, which we'll get into in a second. So where I'm kind of leaning from is it's still the name of the game for me is I'm going to sell the rallies. I don't believe, to me, this looks more like a topping pattern, although, and this is why I was saying a couple hours ago, I want your guys' input on this. To me, this looks like a topping pattern, and I'm going to trade it as such until we begin rallying. And when I mean begin rallying until we get over 342.50 in the S&P 500, I'm going to consider this a top. I'm not calling it a top. I'm just trading what the chart is going to give me. And to me, it's easier to take trades. Excuse me. It's easier to take trades on the downside than it is the upside. Now, in context, and this is why I said a lot of you guys aren't going to like this because if you're holding calls. Let's take this in context, okay? Because this is an uptrend, and we have to look at this as, technically speaking, it is an uptrend, although it is below the 50 and the 20 moving averages. I wouldn't put a lot of weight into the moving averages, and the only reason why is because by the time they come around to actually being in play, well, two reasons. One is because by the time they actually start to work, we're already down 8%. So by the time they actually start to work, the second thing is, well, so I don't want to miss out on that price action. That 8%, I didn't want to miss out on that. And the other thing is, we've already been chopping back and forth between the 20 and the 50 so much now that it's kind of flirting with the 50, although we closed below it. So this could be a bear trap coming into tomorrow or into the beginning of the week. But I have to take the chart for what I see, and it did put in a lower low. It's been making lower highs. So I would say short-term downtrend. And back to what I was saying, in the context of we are in an uptrend, technically, we're in an uptrend. We're making higher highs and higher lows from the March dump. So two things. One, I don't want to rule out the idea that this could go on to making, get past the 342.50 level, which I think that'll be an important level around that price zone. But I don't want to discount that it could be making all-time highs before we know it. And this market has, we can't be surprised by that if that does happen. But until that happens, I'm going to continue with the plan. It's been working so far since the 2nd, or whatever date this was, the 2nd or 3rd. We got the pump up. Let's suck in all the people holding calls, everybody buying the market, and then we got the first down day, which was a pretty big red flag to me, and then we've been trading sideways ever since. So, or for a couple days here. So bear flag maybe. To me, it's short-term bearish, and that's the only way I can read that. We can get into support and resistance levels if you guys would like on the S&P 500. Let me know, and I'll go back there. We can get into shorter term support and resistance levels. The Q's 266.90 was a support level. We dipped below it. We came back above it, and something I put on. I put in the Discord the other day, and I believe it was on Friday, and I said the Qs need to get back above the 266.90. And if I go into the inner or the daily, into the shorter time frames, you can see we kind of close right back up on it. And like I was saying in Friday's video, this could be one of those things where it just wants to fake us out. It's just screwing with us as much as possible, or it really is a bottom that came in Friday, which is possible. It's possible Friday was a bottom. I don't necessarily think it is, but we could, if somebody is long the market, they could use Friday's low as the stop loss, I suppose. But it's making lower lows and lower highs. This could be a fake out bear trap. Maybe a lot of people went short here at the end of Friday or midday Friday, believing that because we took out the lows that we're gonna have a much further move to the downside. There's no way of knowing this until Monday morning and see what New York Open does with the chart. Let me catch up on comments here really quick. Below this horror in a red compared to back in June. You are right, Carl. I also agree. Pull back in June for more return to the last Monday low. Yeah. I mean, and the funny thing about the June prices is that when the Qs and the S&P 500 took out the June highs. Well, I shouldn't say Qs. When the S&P 500 took out the June highs, if I go back here to the S&P 500, when we took out the June highs, we were looking for the other markets to confirm, and here's the June high on my screen right now. It's around this 323 area. And we haven't really been back down there to test that. That is a pretty solid support area or support zone. Maybe 320, 318, 320. I shouldn't say 318. Around there, 318, 320, 322. Somewhere in that zone. I do believe is the zone. Yeah, we could go back to retest that. And to put it in terms of the QQQ and look at QQQ's June high, which is right. The 23rd was the June high. And then we took that out, and we have back tested a couple times on that and then rallied away. We haven't been back down there since. So it could be, if we do fall down here, we could be going to test that again. Oh yeah, we do have IPOs. I think we should get those on the watch list. Well, we don't get all the IPOs on the watch list. Yeah, the market doesn't like to usually, fall out of bed when the IPOs are printing. And I did pick up snow on Friday. I don't mean to go off the chart here. I did pick up snow on Friday. I would love to pay 180 for it, and I usually don't. I usually let a lot more time pass before, but we can get into IPOs here in a second. So we looked at the Q, we looked at the SPY, we looked at the Qs for a brief second. It is possible, again, like I said, this could be a bear trap playing out in the Qs. We did drop below, we came back up, but I can only look at this as bearish and for the same reasons the SPY is. And if I go to a higher time frame, let's say I go to the 5 years, 1 week chart, we can't take this out of perspective as far as, I don't want to start giving out like this, we've looked at the broadening megaphone pattern on some of the indexes. I don't want to look at this chart and say that, we could see a megaphone pattern and actually start targeting downside prices that low. I think that we could just take it one day at a time, but we have to keep this in context that we've rallied 85% in a matter of 4 or 5 months. So it was kind of the writing on the wall that there would be a day that this would pull back. Now, whether the pullback, I guess the argument now becomes, we've already pulled back 13% roughly, or I don't know what the exact figure is, but call it 12% or 13%. We have to look at this and say, well, it's either going to become in between a correction and a bear market. And keep in mind, a bear market would put us down at, if the Qs did get close to a bear market, that would be around 241.75, and that wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities at this point. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I'm just saying that at a certain point, we have to are we really going to wait for all of the moving averages to be taken out to then say, oh yeah, we're in a bear market, we should just load the shorts now because we're now finally in a bear market? Or are we going to trade the chart that we see in front of us on a daily perspective or even an intraday perspective and say, let's just trade it one day at a time? We are coming into this area here, and I'll put it on the screen for you guys. We're coming to this area right here where we had a lot of consolidation. And so in my opinion, it would be a black swan unless we fade slowly through this price area, which is possible, to just shoot right through this price area, which is why I had 266.90 on the screen, to just shoot through that really fast. I don't think that necessarily is possible without some sort of really bad news, cough cough, elections, or North Korea, or a full moon. It is possible that we shoot through there, but not as probable, and without the bad news. Let's go to the IWM. And by the way, before I get off this, and part of my and I don't even want to call it a thesis as far as the S&P 500, but we could look at a few different charts if they load. We could look at a few different charts if they load. And don't get me wrong, I know this is always selling. This is always in a downtrend, so we kind of have to take it in context of that. But to me, it's funny when we don't want to look at market tops and we don't want to admit to ourselves that they could be market tops. And I noticed this with a lot of traders lately, is they can't confront the S&P 500 or the Qs being at a market top. And I'm not calling it a top. What I'm saying is I'm going to trade it like it is one until it's not. And I look at a chart like this, and to me, this is screaming, granted it's an overall downtrend, it's screaming market bottom in the SPXS. But again, we saw the same thing back here in June. So I'm not saying that this is going to be a market bottom in SPXS. I just want to see a perspective on, if we flip the chart upside down, what it would look like. And let's look at the Qs. Let's look at SQQQ. And same thing on the SQs. It looks like, it appears as though it is some sort of market bottom in the SQs. And again, I know it's always selling off. I'm just conceptually looking at the chart. What does it look like? And that's what I have to judge it on. Not that I'm trading SQ. We've seen this we've seen this pattern before. We'll see it again. And to be honest, it could just continue selling off down to $16. I just want to put it in context of that's why I want to treat it as if it was a market top without actually calling it that. Now, if you look at the IWM, this is what's interesting with IWM. We do have a little bit of, there was relative weakness in the IWM. And if I pull up a, we've been seeing this for quite some time. It's not like it's anything new. It's not a news flash. The IWM has been lagging the overall broad markets. But, I mean, this goes back, here's 18. And this is into 19. You saw the flash crash of 2018 into 19. And I've been waiting for this market crash from this, and I believe this was a bear market back here. It was down 26%. So the IWM wasn't a bear market back then. And so the thing is I've been looking at this whole price pattern in the IWM as a bear market rally, and I know they're not supposed to last a couple of years or a year and a half. This one did. At that point, I don't know if you want to call it a bear market rally because it's been so long. But to me, it was kind of a question of why is the IWM lagging the SQ and the SPY? Why is it lagging those other markets? And it lagged the other markets for over a year, and then finally we saw the coronavirus come out, and then it took it out. What's interesting about the IWM is that it was lagging the other markets, and now it seems to be lagging, but to the downside. Or another way of looking at that is now we're beginning to see relative strength in the IWM. Is this a move higher, and this is nothing more than a pullback, and then we're going to start to see higher prices? Time will tell. We don't really know. If I zoom in just a little bit more so you guys can see it on your chart here, it looks like we do have a lot of resistance up here in these price levels. There's one here, there's one here. Don't mind the figures that are on the screen, but I would look at both of these areas as resistance. It looks like we had we rallied here, and I'll give you a date from 9/11. We've rallied from 9/11. We've just kind of been pulling back. Although we could look at it like this and say this was a reversal candle here, and there was resistance in this area. So we really do need to get above this price level around 155.63 for me to be a believer that it's going to be bullish, and this is just another higher low. And it'll take me some time to go through the comments, so I might just kind of read through really, really, really fast. Okay, yeah, and this is the thing is, so to me the IWM looks really well, and this is where the trades kind of take place, is like, is the IWM lagging the market to the downside, even though the IWM didn't even take out, well, here's the June highs over here. So 6.8 was the June highs. It did take it out, and then it's kind of been chopping back and forth between the June high and this resistance up here around 160. It's been kind of chopping up and down, back and forth. Volatility started to expand, as we see on the chart. But then another way of looking at this is, yeah, it is in an uptrend right now, and it's making higher highs and higher lows. So we could just trade that as we see it, and Friday could have been a really good buying opportunity. Okay, let's go to XLF. So financials, I don't know. People say they're lagging, they're leading. No matter what, to me, the financials are looking a lot more weak, especially on a weekly time frame. If I look at the weekly time frame, and it's having a really hard time getting back up there compared to the other markets. I'm not shocked. It is the banking sector, so I can't imagine the low interest rates are helping the banks. But then again, I mean, maybe these are really good prices. It has been making higher highs and higher lows from the March lows, March crash area. It's been making higher highs, higher lows, but it has been having a really hard time getting up here and getting above June 8th. So let's look at the transports. Excuse me. So the transports did have a weekly reversal candle this last Friday, and in fact, if we went and looked at the SPY and the QQQ weekly charts, we would see a weekly bear flag forming. We'd see a weekly bear flag forming. So it looks like the transports did put in a weekly reversal candle, but I wouldn't put a lot of weight necessarily into that weekly reversal candle. And the reason why is, well, not only, I mean, it can be green and still be a reversal candle. What I'm saying by weekly reversals, we see this resistant area put in a high and then traders sold it off throughout the rest of the week. It found somewhat of a bottom on Friday or Thursday or Friday, and then it's just kind of been sitting at this price level. So we would have to see higher prices. I would not be a buyer. You know, we could go look at FedEx and see how well it's doing. It's no secret now why the transports are doing a lot better than just like the IWM. If you notice, it's the transports ever since 2016 they rallied up here and they've been trading sideways. I was almost expecting that to be bullish action, but it wasn't. It played out to the downside, and coincidentally enough, the bull flag played out to the downside and played out really fast to the downside, and now we're back all the way back up to all-time high. So interesting. Let's look at gold. I have longer term contracts in gold and silver. I like this price action. I think that there could be a little bit more time here. I'm going to zoom in on the chart just a little bit. We could spend a little bit more time in here, but then again, I think it would be healthy to break down out of this because people would probably be selling gold as soon as it broke down out of this bullish flag. And I think if it broke down out of that, a really good price level to be buying gold be 170, 170.85. And between that and current price right now, maybe accumulation. I do expect higher prices out of gold, but you never know. We could break down out of this flaggish pattern. And if I looked at silver, I'll look at the silver. It's the same thing. The thing is with silver, the reason why I like is I believe there's a lot more upside. I can even see these prices. If we get above 26.85, I could see prices for starters up to well, I'm going way up here. For starters, if we can get above 26.85, that's a tall order in itself. But if we can get above that, I would be eyeballing prices up here back to $30, and then of course 33, and then I don't want to give any more prices above that. But I do believe it. I believe there would be higher prices in silver, but it would also be healthy to pull back, just like gold. It would be healthy to pull back first. And I'm gonna go TLT. I've been kind of whipped out of trades in TLT, so I've kind of been whipped out these last couple weeks. I haven't been having as much success as I was having before, so I'm kind of taking it easy in TLT. We'll see what happens. It looks pretty bearish on a weekly time frame. If I go to the daily, on a daily time frame, you know, we're chopping between support and resistance. I'm wondering, and I was kind of wondering this before we saw volatility pick up during the market crash, and then we saw the sideways action, drops below sideways action. And if you look, maybe some of you guys remember my previous videos, I was thinking about if we did a symmetrical kind of thing. And I'm not saying all the way down to the lows again, or even all the way up to 179.70, but I was just expecting maybe some volatility, and maybe that would be on par with elections coming up. Maybe we will see some sort of volatility. Maybe it doesn't have to be the same magnitude. Like we saw the market broke, and that's why we see price fluctuations like we have in precious metals and the bond market, and of course the broad market. But we'll see what happens. I think it's okay to be long above this price area, and I understand we could go actually do more investigation on the bond market and the yields and really be in tune with that before we're totally trading TLT. But I don't know, from a technical perspective though, the shorter term time frame looks bearish to me. But then again, this entire pattern here from the up move that we had, we've just been trading sideways, and to me normally what happens, we'll see a breakout, but that would also mean lower yields. And how low are they really going to go? That's the question. Are we going to see negative interest rates? I don't know. And so with the biotech, we saw some relative strength in biotech, but the reason why I've been trading it this week is every time we see good news come out with biotech, and the reason why I've been having pretty good success with going long, going short, going long, going short. Some people don't like this kind of behavior where it's like one day it's down, the next day it's up, and it's doing this like up and down. You're hot and you're cold, and that's a thing with biotech. It's like we'll see really good news come out, and then the next day it's really bad news. So I've been liking this chart. We'll see what happens. It really does need to hold this price area over here, which I know we're a ways away from that. But if we take out the 200, it might not be so pretty. Let me catch up on comments really quick. You guys feel free to start putting ticker symbols in the comment section. We got through most of this stuff. I wanted to look at the FANG stocks, but I don't know if I'm gonna have time to look at all of them. So if there's any charts you guys want to check out, let's look at them together. My gold and silver calls, I have some for November, December, January, which I might roll them because I don't know. I feel like I should get even leaps at this point, longer term leaps at this point. Okay, so long road recovery for oil. We could look at the oil futures, but yeah, I mean it's funny. I was joking with people. I even did a post on Zip Trader about oil going negative, saying it would be funny if we saw oil go negative. It's possible, and then like a week after that, it went negative, and it was so fast that I don't know anyone that had time to react to that negative oil prices. It's pretty scary to negative prices getting paid to take the oil, but can you imagine if you were stuck holding those futures? Okay, so let's start looking at your guys' stuff. I wanted to look at the different stocks, or the FANG stocks, but let's go to our weekly watch list. On watch. Yeah, Dwayne, I was thinking, I was thinking the same thing. It's funny when I don't know. When I see these down days and I see the volume, and then you see the pullbacks are on lower volume, and then people are pointing at the volume saying, calling the volume bottoms, which I'm not here to say that they're bottoms or tops. I'm just saying I noticed that you'll see a dump and then you'll see a pullback on lighter volume and then you'll see another dump. It looks like distribution to me, but it's really hard to tell. I see what you're talking about. We could trade this in a range by itself and just say it's a range. The problem with me is this, or the problem with trading it in a range as far as I'm concerned is, let me do this actually. Hopefully, can you guys see the chart? I saw this in a post when we saw the March lows, and then we took these trades back here. We went long, and then basically writing this trend up. I was kind of thinking, I saw this on Twitter. I saw a guy talking about how we would see this snapback recovery, and then it'd be what would really suck for a lot of us, especially options traders. Could you guys imagine the bleed if we did get all the way down here looking like a bleed and not? We would almost prefer a correction, and I don't mean to draw the lines all the way down to there. Let's say the correction to here, or let's say it's to here, wherever the correction goes to. It's a slow bleed is what kills us, and it's hard to trade. Versus if we have a lot of momentum, it's easier to step in and buy on heavier momentum because you're expecting that snapback. Versus a slow bleed. If you get the slow bleed like it's doing lately, and then when it does fall, it's going to fall hard and fast, and you might be stuck in a long trade when that happens. Okay, let me get off of this. Let's go to our watch list here. I'm going to start deleting the ones off the watch list. I'm going to leave Workhorse on here because it has been kind of a beast, and I know people have been trading this one. You guys are going to be, I don't think it'll shock anybody here when I say I am looking for a Workhorse short, and I'm going to say that laughing because, believe me, I'm the barest bears of anyone that I've ever met. Not just of Workhorse, but of any stock. But the thing is I'm not the one to just step in front of this and short. I'm looking for a reversal candle on the daily chart, and we haven't had it yet. And even if or when we do get a reversal, we do have to be mindful of when we see these reversals, they are quick to be bought up. So it would not surprise me. And just like Tesla, people know I love taking short trades in Tesla. This is what I'm looking for Tesla, for those of you. So I can let you guys know right now, whether I'm right or wrong. I'm looking for a reversal candle that looks like this. And then I'm looking for a back test. So what I'm looking for is, I'm willing to take a short trade if price can get up here a little bit higher. But then again, Tesla's one of those stocks lately that it's going to want to take out the highs of 502. I believe it's going to want to go higher. So maybe with Tesla, I'm looking for an actual trend breakdown before I take the short, which would probably be more lucrative or more intuitive. Would actually be wait for the trend to break before taking the short. But the thing is these short trades are nice if you can catch them because they can hurt a lot and you don't want to short it the entire way up. But if you can catch it and you know where you're wrong and you're really close to risk, it can be extremely lucrative. I mean, this last pullback that we had was 34%. I mean, it was very lucrative. Even if you can capture a third of that. So Workhorse, I'm looking for the same thing. I'm looking for a, not that I don't know much about Workhorse. I know that NIO, Workhorse, Tesla, they're on these, the electronic vehicles are like a thing in the future. But it's not like electronic vehicles are new. They've been around for a while. But these other companies, Tesla, Workhorse, you guys might correct me I hope Workhorse is an electronic vehicle company. But Workhorse, Tesla, NIO, these companies, excuse me, I remember trading NIO back on IPO, and we saw it rally. We saw it get pumped and pumped and pumped, and then it traded all the way down to $1 or something. It's really hard to trade NIO. I do have NIO both directions right now. I have calls in NIO, but the funny thing is that well, not funny, but it's hard to do an audit on a company that's in China. And so when you have companies that are out of country, and especially in China, you don't always know what numbers they're putting out are real or not real. It's not like we can just do an audit on some of the companies. So be mindful of those trades. But again, I am looking for a short trade. I'm not looking to go long on Workhorse right now. I'm looking for a pullback before going long. And the pullback could just simply be a pullback like maybe to the 20 period moving average, or it can even trade sideways for a little while, and then I would be looking to go long. I'm gonna leave that on the watch list. I'm leaving Snow. I'm gonna start deleting these off the watch list, guys. Well done if you took these trades. Well done if you're in them, and well done for calling them out. It helps us when we look out for the community and call them out. I'm gonna delete these, but do me a favor and put them back up in here. There's some of these I want on the watch list for this next week, but for now I'm gonna take them off of here, and I'm gonna leave Snow and Workhorse up. So feel free to start putting your ticker symbols in the comment section, and we will go over each one as a group. And I want to go till probably I don't know, maybe another 20 minutes or 30 minutes if we have to, but preferably like 20 minutes. So feel free to start putting your ticker symbols in the watch list or under the comment section. All right, Dwayne, CPRT. Actually, I'm putting GoDaddy back in here because I'm thinking about taking a trade on this one this week. Let's look at CPRT. Beautiful chart. I like it. I want to say because it's above all the moving average, it's definitely bullish. Well, it is definitely bullish. It's making higher highs, higher lows. As far as the trend goes, it's a bullish chart. There is a reversal candle back here on the 3rd. And I don't know, maybe that was an earnings. Yeah, maybe it was like an earnings. Definitely a reversal candle, and it looks like it's doing like one of the bear flag things where it shoots down and then it has this consolidation period to where maybe we'll see lower prices. The only thing that I would have to say though is that Friday we did close back above. Something to kind of watch is Friday I don't want to zoom in that much. Friday we closed back above. We closed back above Thursday's opening print, and we are closed up here in a gap on heavy volume. It looks like the volume is 2,500,000. I like this chart. These are my kind of trades, like whether I was going to go long or short, because technically speaking, you could be short against one of these price levels, either the all-time high or the opening print of the all-time high. These are all three areas you could be short at. But then again, this does look like a nice support zone. So whether you're going long or short, but to me, I would want it to rally a little bit more before taking the short trade. Or Friday is the day that if I was going to go long, I would have went long on Friday morning but it's really hard to take that trade, especially Thursdays. If you're going to go long on a Thursday, if you're going to go long on Thursday, the sentiment at the time Thursday is low. Imagine that for a minute, and you're stepping in to buy. It's a really hard thing to do, and so congratulations on anyone who took that trade. Are you so Dwayne, are you looking to go long or short or do a spread or? MAXR, and I'm going to keep going here since there's a delay. MAXR. Yeah, so I think that it would be highly probable to fill that gap before we started seeing on CPRT. But then again, it's like once we fill the gap, at that point, it's you know, they're really going to start getting excited about that next resistance level of 105.73 area, 105 somewhere in there. And then if they can close above 106, then they'll definitely be eyeing that 110 area. This kind of a trend is the nice. This is technically the pullback on the uptrend. So, MAXR. Sometimes when I'm not so certain, when I'm not exactly certain on what the chart is doing, I like to go to the weekly chart. I mean, I know that the chart is at the highs and it's like it's rocketing. It's been rocketing and then it's up. Let's do a little. We are unless my thinkorswim is broken, we're up 661%, 670% off the March off of the 2019 lows. And so you know, looking at the weekly chart though, it looks, I mean, we're now above the 200-week moving average, and we did close above this resistance area. I'm going to pull it on my chart so you guys can see it. There's a resistance area over here. Actually, I don't know if we closed above it on the weekly time frame. The high over here is 28.35, and then we closed the week at 29.27, so we did close above that resistance area. So the next several areas that it might be targeting is 37.22. We have some resistance at 32.75, 37.41, and then heavy at 52.16. There's some heavy resistance right here. In fact, out of all of those, I believe that would be the heaviest if it can get above these prices. But keep in mind, on a weekly time frame, it would not surprise me to then see this 200 period moving average can still act as resistance even though it closed above it. So keep in mind, we could pull back to the low of last week's low, which was, so if you are in this trade, my stop loss would be just below 23.26. If you're not trading, I mean, if you're trading just shares, maybe stop loss below. Try to give it the room it needs to run. We're getting up here. Even this year, we're up off the March lows. We're up 310%. So another thing to keep in mind is that and at some point we either went over this chart or I was trading this chart because I see my moving out. I don't know if you guys can see my support and resistance that's in here from the March lows area. So at some point I was trading this. I don't know when, but I have some lines already on here. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely bullish. That's the weekly. So let's go back to the daily. Definitely bullish. There's no reason to exit the trade. There's no reversal. There's no, even on this year from the March lows rallying up above here, we put in another high on the year. So it's consistently making all higher highs, higher lows. Maybe it's forming a channel. Maybe I would start targeting these prices up here like we talked about in the weekly time frame when you don't know where it's going out on the daily. Solid chart. It's on the watch list. Yeah, I mean, this thing is, oh, there's one I wish I didn't delete now. Okay, so I'm gonna feel free to put a couple more in the comment section, guys. Put some ticker symbols. Otherwise, I'm gonna move on. I'm just gonna keep going with. I'm gonna keep going for a few more minutes. I'll go if we have time. I'm gonna go back over to the fangs. AMD. So I like AMD's chart. I don't like this pattern, guys. And this is kind of what I've been seeing in a lot of the markets. This overall pattern, and to be honest with you, even if we rallied up here a little bit, to me, it's in a shorter term downtrend. I know we're bullish as far as looking at the daily chart, but this pattern, this looks like a, to me, it looks like a topping pattern. I'm not saying that it is, but that's what it looks like. And so it's been flirting with this area for so long now that I would almost expect at some point, and I don't want to start giving out really low, but we haven't seen it come back here and back test this serious support level down here now that was serious resistance. This was back in the I don't want to say back in the day. Me and Dwayne were trading this one. But this is some serious resistance back here that turned into, I would believe, would be support if we ever got back down that low. I'm not saying that we will, but if we did. But if I just zoom in here on the daily, even if I go to like a hourly time frame, and I go to like a 2 hour, even looking at the 2 hour, we're rolling over here. To me, this is a rolling over pattern. We're now below the 200 2 hour moving average. And I'm not saying there's more weight in the 200, this is a tongue twister, in the 200 2 hour moving average. Maybe the hourly moving average would have a little bit more bearing, but because we've already tested it once, fell through it again, and now we've actually fallen through it, we're just below it. Granted, on Monday, you could definitely see prices, maybe this is forming some sort of, no matter how I draw this, it looks bearish to me. I don't know how, I'm trying to draw this in such a way that it would look bullish as far as this shorter term. I don't mean the daily chart, but just looking at the shorter term, if I drew this in such a way, I don't know. Maybe I could, I don't know. I don't even know how to draw this pattern. I wouldn't want to, no matter how I drew the pattern, I wouldn't want to rely on this kind of a pattern. For me, it'd be easier just to look at the actual support level. The support level to me was already broken. And so I would expect at some point a gap fill. And for the gap fill, let's do this. Let's go to a daily chart. I'm personally looking for a trade in AMD, but the gap fill would be down here around, there's a couple gaps in here, but the first one I would be eyeing, well, and there's nothing that says it has to actually fill the gap, but if it did, I would be eyeing the opening of this one, which was 68.10, which, so you guys can visually see it on your screen. This would be the first area of that I would look to possibly be a buyer. But to be honest, once price got down this low, I would think that price would want to actually go down and fill the following gap even below that. So let's take AMD one day at a time. I'm looking for a trade in AMD, and since we're on that, it reminded me of another one. I'm looking for Walmart, and I might be late on Walmart. We took a trade of, I think it was this last week. It was on 9/14. We took a trade in Walmart. Pretty nice trade. We'll see what happens. That trade since got faded, which surprised me, and we've traded now below that. There's nothing that says Walmart can't come all the way down here to the low of this candle, which is 139.35. But then again, I'm considering taking a trade. The way this trade would look in Walmart is, as far as I'm concerned, there, now you guys can really see it on your screen. A trade like this, without actually waiting for price to come all the way down here, a trade like this, I would wait to break the highs instead of waiting for it to come back to 130, if that makes sense. I would wait for the breakout, possibly the breakout back test on the hourly chart. So to give you an actual price of that, the price level is around 137, 136.90, 137, 138, somewhere in there. Not even as high as 138. But also keep in mind, if we do break out above this, there is going to be resistance at this price. I'll give you a price level on that in a second. Maybe even in this zone right here. And then, of course, we can go up here to the highs of each one. But the first one's 138.70, possibly around 140.50 and 141.40. And since Dwayne put the island top deal on, yeah. You know, if we gap down here, absolutely can be an island top. Well, you know, we don't even have to gap down. That, to me, like, even seeing that price, the gaps up here, even that would be consistent with that kind of a pattern, I believe, as far as AMD goes. Okay, so let's look at TIF. Okay, TIF. That's an interesting trading. Tell me this. I've never traded TIF, so does it trade on, is it impacted at all ever by gold or retail? I mean, the weekly chart looks pretty good other than this last bearish week, and then it looks like this most previous, which was just last week. So 2 weeks ago we saw a bearish week, a breakdown, and then we saw a now we're seeing consolidation on way like half the volume. In fact, this overall thing looks like distribution. And don't get me wrong, this is a weekly chart, but this whole pattern here, because I see this this heavy volume on some of these areas, and I don't know, I mean, maybe they're warrants or I'm speculating here. This previous week bearish, and then, or 2 weeks ago bearish, and then last week consolidation. I would almost think that this would even come down here even more. I don't even know what price targets would be because we're pretty far away from $99. That would be a really solid area if we ever got down there again. I think that would be a solid area. Excuse me, just below the 200 period moving average. And of course, that would psych everybody out because there's a lot of traders who actually use moving averages. So they might be buying the support of the 200 period, and price will see fall right through it, which it does. Price likes to do that, likes to psych people out. And then the buyers, the institutions might step up. That's pretty far away from now. Let's look at, let's zoom in here and look at the daily chart. I don't personally like trading these kinds of charts where it's pretty volatile. And the thing is maybe the March, or this March low would have been a good time to enter it, but I see this distribution pattern where it gets sold off, they rally it some more, it trades sideways. I bet you a lot of people in here were thinking it was going to go up, bull flag kind of a scenario, to then see it sell off, which is probably why you saw a lot of volume coming out of it. And then again, traders scooped it up. That looks like some sort of earnings. I don't know if it was earnings, but I don't personally like trading these. But so on the weekly chart, it looks bearish to me, but on the daily chart, it looks like it wants to go fill this gap, and the magnetic moving averages acting as magnets right now, pulling price up to them. So maybe it wants to go fill the gap to the north. Well done if you caught that dip back here on 9.9. Well done if you caught that dip. It looks bullish as far as, I know it's below the moving averages on the daily, but this pattern to me is bullish. Okay, so did I go over? Okay, I'm going to go over a couple of things, and then if you guys don't have anything else, I'll just... Oh, WRTC. Let me put it in here. Are you looking to go long or short, Dwayne? On that Tiffany. So WRTC, these are the kind of charts that I like. I like to do the bottom. I know, some people are like, oh, don't pick the bottom. I don't like to wait for charts to get above all three moving averages to then buy them. And so this is the kind of chart I like. The only thing I would have to say is the time to buy would have been down here while it consolidated, and then it finally, once it started making higher highs. The problem with this chart right now is that it is coming into resistance level. So for me personally to be a buyer, and the reason why I would be a buyer above this price level, and I'll give you the price, around $9.30. I know we're a little bit away from there. You could be a buyer right now, but the risk to reward wise, we're kind of in no man's land. What I mean by that, in my opinion, is that price is in between both support and resistance. I know it just broke out of this consolidation, so reason would be, I can understand the reasoning behind being a buyer or being a buyer in here. Of course, this upper resistance level is going to act as a magnet, especially since we are well above, well, I wouldn't say well above the middle of this red candle here, but as price moves higher, it's going to start acting as the resistance level will act as a magnet, pulling price up to it. So that would be good if you're already in the trade. But the time to be a buyer would have been on the breakout or one of these pullbacks in here. If price can pull back, maybe I'd be a buyer at the pullback. It is making higher highs and lows on the daily chart as far as these last couple weeks. But then again, the reason why I'd be a buyer above this price area of 930 is there's quite a ways away till we get to the next resistance level. Now the risk to reward starts heading in here. We would be risking, if you got above this high 930, you put a stop loss just below, you'd be risking a little bit to make, you know, maybe possibly up to upwards of 14%. If I look at the weekly, so that's the daily. Weekly looks great. Absolutely, to me, weekly looks absolutely bullish. I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time looking at it. Let's go to the hourly. Hourly chart. Hourly chart looks decent now. Now that I zoom into an hourly and not looking at the daily, it looks like I could possibly be a buyer. We're above all the hourly moving averages. Let me do this. Let me zoom in so you guys can really kind of see the chart. Well, hopefully you guys can see it. I can see it. So keep in mind, there is going to be resistance up here in the 930 area. There should be. Maybe we can trade sideways. If we trade sideways and we hold the sideways trading, I would definitely be a buyer with a stop just below 860. Otherwise, I would personally want to wait for it to break above 930, and then we will begin to see resistance levels up here. Risk reward wise, it's pretty, that's what we're in the business for. Do I put this on here? WRTC. Now okay, here we go. Low sub 7, like you're looking at 7, like making lower highs, lower lows on the hourly. Or actually, let's go back to the daily. If you're trading this as in a downtrend, you're technically right. It did make a high, the high of 1440, lower high over here, and then this could be a lower high, if that's what you mean. Which is possible, and honestly, it could come all the way back down here. Not exactly my short setup if that's what we're after. You could short it at this high up here. It's just, when is that going to happen? When is it going to make the lower high? It's hard to tell. Okay, let's go to let's go to RST. Rosetta Stone. You know, in with Rosetta, you know, it's funny, and when we think back now, it's like, had we known all these stocks would do really well in coronavirus, to me, it's bullshit. It's really interesting, though, seeing this kind of this on the daily chart, seeing this pattern. Like, I don't even know what this is. Maybe it was just so volatile back here that this looks like it's not doing anything, when maybe in fact, if I zoom into a smaller time frame here, is this going out of, I mean, are they selling? Are they going out of business? Is there a reason why it's so computerized, like algo? I mean, technically speaking, it's bullish. You know, we've traded higher, and now we're just trading sideways. Maybe it's waiting for some sort of, I don't know, I don't even want to draw a pattern like that, but maybe it's looking for some sort of breakout or breakdown if we're looking for a short. If we did break down out of this pattern, we could expect quite a few lower prices on here. To be honest, this thing could come back to 28.31 or even 27.06. Another thing to consider too is maybe this shot up so much now that it's waiting for the moving averages to catch up. And then once it does its catch up thing, which could be any day now, maybe we'll begin to see higher prices. Let me go to a weekly chart. Whoops. I mean, this thing really shot up here in a matter of a couple of weeks of, you know, 90%. I don't know, about a couple months. Even from the March lows, 247%. But I mean, it's bullish on weekly, daily. It looks bullish to me. Yeah, online languages, that makes sense. anything online, I feel like. Okay, I'm gonna look at a couple FANG stocks. We're gonna wrap it up here in about 4 minutes. And this is one of those things where we're either pulling back, right? We're doing this thing where we're pulling back to prior resistant level before we find support and we rally away. The reason why this blue line is on the screen is that's a trade that I wanted to take to the north. Although to me this looks like a topping pattern, but that's of course the weekly chart. Let me go to the daily. So I wanted to take a trade. It hasn't gotten down to this price of 248.66. I did take a trade from Thursday into Friday, and then I sold at market open, and I'm glad I did because it sold off. But anyway, you know, I'm looking at the low of this candle right here, which was prior resistant level back here. And so now you can kind of see why I wanted to take this to the long side. The only problem that I have with it is now we are consolidating just above support. And when we consolidate just above support, it increases the odds that we're going to fall through support and maybe even fill this gap down here. So that's why I'm out of this. Well, I'm out of the trade because of options, but that's why I didn't want to take another long trade. Apple, you guys remember good old infamous Apple. Took a stop loss on that. By the way, I posted my loss on the Discord. If you guys wanted to take a look at the loss channel. So with Apple, I was looking at this gap fill candidate later in the day, and I decided that, you know, I'm not taking a gap fill on a Friday night or Friday afternoon, and I'm glad I didn't because it still looks bearish to me. But this pattern, I'm thinking like, you know, check out Friday's video. I did a video on Friday where I went over what I kind of saw in Apple, so I don't want to go over it. I don't want to rehash the incident. But to me, now definitely the line was in the sand. We crossed the line that was in the sand for me, so I'm still bearish on Apple. Granted, at any point now, this could turn around and rally the other way. But when we visually look at the chart, what do we see? And when I visually look at Apple, this definitely looks like a topping pattern to me, and it definitely looks like it wants to come down here to $99. Doesn't have to happen all in one day. It first has to get through 102 area, 101 area. But the more I look at this chart, the more bearish it looks to, you know, it's looking to me. It is possible. Now, for you guys holding Apple calls, because I know there are a lot of people long on Apple, it's possible that this is capitulation. But I'd be advised. I should not have used that word, honestly, because this back here in March lows is capitulation. This is to me is distribution, but it's possible institutions could have been buying this on Friday. I don't think it's probable, but it's, you know, it's possible we see a little relief rally in Apple. And if we do see a relief rally, I'm looking for another short instead of going long on it now. Amazon, same thing, bearish. I don't think I wanted to eyeball the 3,000 price level as support, and we went right through that as if, you know, right through it. What did we close the day at? We closed the day at 29.54. It's playing games. At this point, we might as well come all the way down here to 26.95, 27.72. But then again, one thing I want to urge caution to the bears is that there is a little bit of support back here. The low was 28.88. That definitely could be some support. So maybe we'll see a little bit of a relief rally coming into this next week. And let me go to Google. There's a reason why I'm going over these. There's a reason why I'm going over these FANG stocks really quick. I broke the stream. I did something with the stream. I don't know what I did, but I broke something. Okay, so let's go to Google. We saw the tech sector. We saw it carrying the market to all-time highs. And now we see tech breaking down, and look at the Google chart, and it looks like the S&P 500. It looks like the QQQ, except it's more magnified, more to the downside. Like the bear flag is now playing out. Maybe it played out. I don't know. It looks like it wants to come down here even more. I wouldn't necessarily stand in front of this. What did I miss? Facebook, Amazon, Apple. Oh, let's look at Microsoft. Microsoft, same thing. We see the bearish this is bearish. This pattern here to me is a topping pattern. Well, the rally up here to suck in all the buyers, suck in every mom, dad, uncle, brother, family dog has bought in calls all the way up here. They purchased all this up here, and now the institutions are selling it off, and retail traders keep buying it, thinking that it's the bottom. And I don't, maybe it is. Maybe this is the bottom right here. I don't believe it is, but maybe it is. Maybe this isn't going to continue down here. Maybe this will be the bottom and we'll just rally from here. But it's looking bearish. The more I look across this, let's look at Netflix. Netflix, same thing. It's a double top, bearish, this whole thing, and I'm going to highlight the whole thing I'm talking about. This entire thing is a bearish topping pattern. So granted, it's okay to be long based on the fact that we are in an uptrend, depending on where you draw the trend at. We're in a conceptual uptrend, but this entire pattern to me is a topping pattern. We saw the same thing in 2018. Time will tell. What am I missing? Is that it? I don't know. Netflix, Google. Yeah, I think that's it. I might be missing a couple, but you kind of get the point here. I could go through them, and you guys kind of see what I'm seeing as far as the FANG stocks. Why I think the Q. Now, if I go back to the QQQ, and then you see it doing this, where it's teetering on the edge of, I don't want to be a buyer yet. You know, I don't want to swing this long. I don't want to do it yet. So, anyway, that wraps it up. Thank you guys for taking part in this. Again, check the rtbtrading.com. Check out the links underneath the video, and if you guys gain value, hit the like button, share this video, share the channel with your friends. Love their input. Thank you guys for yours. We'll see you in the next video, and if you're in the trading group, I will see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.